Okay, guys, being broke really makes you come up with the craziest ideas. Because tell me why I actually went and created a rent-a-girlfriend app, like an actual fake dating app where people can hire me to pretend to be their girlfriend. I know it sounds completely insane, but somehow it actually worked. Now here's where things get even crazier. Remember the billionaire heiress I escorted to that charity gala in episode 1? Yeah, she just booked me through my own app. She's literally paying to rent me as her fake girlfriend, and I have absolutely no idea why. If you're new here, welcome. Episode 1 is linked in the description because you'll definitely want the full backstory before this gets messy. Alright, enough talking. Let's find out why the richest girl in the city wants me to pretend to be her girlfriend. 3 hours later, I found myself standing outside a small cafe just off campus. Not one of those ridiculously expensive places where a cup of coffee somehow costs $20. Just normal. That alone surprised me. When I stepped inside, Luna was already there. She looked up from her book and smiled the moment she saw me. You came. You sounded mysterious. I did, didn't I? A little, she laughed. I wasn't trying to. You accidentally succeeded. She closed her book and motioned toward the empty seat across from her. Sit. I slid into the chair. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. Finally, I leaned forward. So, she copied my posture. So, why am I here? Because I booked you. I noticed. She smiled. I figured. I folded my arms. Luna. You're rich. Yes, beautiful. Thank you. And somehow managed to hire the only fake girlfriend in the city. She laughed. When you put it like that, it sounds ridiculous. It does. So, I pointed at her. Explain. She rested her elbows on the table. You remember Scarlet Hayes? Did I remember Scarlet? The woman had accidentally taken over half my brain since the gala. I remember. My family's hosting another party this weekend. I nodded. Scarlet's going to be there. Okay, and... She hesitated. I sort of have a crush on her. For some reason, that sentence caught me off guard. Scarlet? Really? Oh, damn. That fine girl. Why didn't you tell me? I was literally staring at her. I am sorry. E is just beautiful, don't worry. I am not crushing on her. I love money. I've liked her for months. Luna looked down at her coffee. But she never really notices me. I blinked. How? She looked up. What do you mean? You're... I gestured toward her. You, she frowned. What does that mean? It means... I searched for the right words. You're smart, she smiled. Oh, kind. Keep going. And ridiculously pretty. She burst into laughter. I was being serious. I know. She wiped a tear from the corner of her eye. You just sounded so offended. I am offended. She smiled warmly. Thank you. Then her expression softened. But Scarlet doesn't see me that way. I didn't know what to say. She continued quietly. I figured. If she thought I was already dating someone, maybe she'd finally notice me. I stared at her. That's your plan? It's not a very good one. It really isn't. But it's the only one I've got. I couldn't help laughing. She laughed too. I knew you'd make fun of me. I wasn't making fun of you. You were. I was judging your strategy. Oh? It needs work. She leaned closer. That's why I hired you. I blinked. I need a convincing girlfriend. You already had one. One night isn't enough. So? She smiled. I'd like to hire you again. I pretended to think about it. She waited patiently. Wren. I finally grinned. I'm kidding. I know, I'll do it. You will? You pay really well. She laughed. I appreciate your honesty. I've learned honesty pays. Sometimes. The waiter arrived with 2 iced coffees. I didn't order this. I did, Luna said. You look like you picked caramel. I stared at my drink. How did you know? You looked at it 3 times before sitting down. That's actually a little creepy. I prefer observant. I'm going with creepy. Fair enough. We spent another hour talking. Not about the party. Not about the fake relationship. Just life, college, professors, favorite movies, terrible cafeteria food. At some point, I completely forgot this was technically a business meeting. Luna was just easy to talk to. So, she suddenly asked, What are you doing after graduation? I smiled. Getting rich, she laughed. I'm serious. So am I. No dream job, owning my own company. What kind? I don't know yet, but I know one thing. What? I never want my dad to worry about money again. For the first time that afternoon, Luna didn't smile. Instead, she looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite understand. You really love him. He's all I've got. She nodded slowly. I get that. I wanted to ask what she meant. But before I could, her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and sighed. My grandmother. Everything okay? She wants me home. I stood. So? The party? Saturday. She smiled. I'll text you the address. I nodded. Deal. As we walked outside together, a sleek black SUV pulled up beside the curb. A driver stepped out immediately. Miss Carter. Luna gave him an apologetic smile. I'm coming. She turned back to me. Thanks again, Wren. For what? For saying yes, I shrugged. You're my client. For a split second, something flickered across her face. Disappointment. It disappeared so quickly I wasn't even sure I'd imagined it. She smiled anyway. Right. See you Saturday. I watched the SUV disappear into traffic before starting the walk back to my apartment. Around 6 that evening, my phone buzzed. Luna, I'm outside. I quickly slipped on the nicest dress I owned. Calling it nice was generous. I'd bought it 2 years ago during an end-of-season sale because it was 70% off. Tonight, it was pretending to be designer. Kind of fitting, considering my job. I grabbed my purse and hurried downstairs. The moment I stepped outside, I froze. Luna was leaning against the sleek black Mercedes, wearing a fitted navy blue suit instead of a dress. Her dark hair was neatly tucked behind one ear, and the city lights reflected softly in her eyes. For a second, my brain completely stopped working. She looked ridiculously attractive. She caught me staring. What? I cleared my throat. Nothing. Wren, you're staring. I was appreciating your fashion choices. She looked down at herself. You like this suit? I think every woman should own one. She laughed. I almost wore a dress. I'm glad you didn't. Her smile widened. So? She opened the passenger door for me. Does that mean I passed the fake girlfriend inspection? I climbed into the car, trying very hard to ignore the fact that my face suddenly felt warm. Barely. Liar. A little. She grinned the entire drive. Unlike the charity gala, tonight's party felt younger. Louder. A massive beachfront mansion overlooked the ocean, and music spilled out into the garden where students gathered around glowing fire pits. Luxury cars filled the driveway. Someone was taking drone footage. Another person was live streaming the entrance. I leaned toward Luna. Do rich people ever have normal parties? She looked around. I honestly don't think they know how. We stepped inside together, almost immediately. Heads turned. Not toward me. Toward Luna. People greeted her with polite smiles. She greeted every single person back. Then, my eyes found Scarlett. She stood near the balcony wearing a deep emerald green dress that shimmered every time she moved beneath the lights. She looked even more beautiful than she had at the gala. This is becoming a problem, I whispered. Luna looked at me. What is? Your crush, I think she's physically incapable of looking bad. Luna followed my gaze before quietly smiling. I told you. No, seriously, it's unfair. A little. I sighed dramatically. If she smiled at me again, I'd probably forget my own name. Luna laughed. I'll remind you. Thanks. I'm a very supportive fake girlfriend. You really are. A familiar voice interrupted us. Luna! Scarlett walked over with 2 of her friends. She hugged Luna first. It's good to see you. You too. Then Scarlett looked at me. Recognition flashed across her face. Wait, weren't you at the charity gala? I smiled. Yeah, Wren, right? Yeah, I'm Wren. Scarlett smiled. I remembered. I'm impressed. So am I. She laughed. I was wondering if we'd run into each other again. Really? Yeah. Before I could embarrass myself further, another woman walked over and wrapped an arm around Scarlett's shoulder. There you are. Scarlett smiled politely. I'll catch up with you 2 later. See you. As Scarlett walked away, Luna continued watching her until she disappeared into the crowd. You know she's gone, right? My voice pulled her back. I know. You were still looking. She folded her arms. I admire her. You've admired her for a full week. I can admire people for as long as I want. She laughed. I never said you couldn't. Luna's eyes shifted toward someone standing across the room. She suddenly became much quieter. I followed her gaze. Scarlett had wandered over to the drinks table. Luna took a slow breath. She's alone. I looked back at her. You want to go talk to her? She nodded once. I do. So go. What if she doesn't want to talk to me? I blinked. You're serious? Completely. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Luna, you're one of the most confident women I've ever met. I fake confidence. You fake confidence. She smiled weakly. Most people do. That actually made a lot of sense. I looked towards Scarlett again before turning back to Luna. You know what? What? I've got this. She frowned. You do? Absolutely. What exactly are you planning? I smiled. I honestly have no idea. That doesn't reassure me. It shouldn't, she groaned. I'm trusting the wrong person. You definitely are. I grabbed her wrist before she could overthink herself into staying where she was. Come on, Wren. Nope. We're doing this. What if I embarrass myself? Then I'll embarrass myself too. Together. That's what fake girlfriends are for. She laughed as I pulled her through the crowd. Halfway there, she leaned closer. I'm actually nervous. I smiled. I know. So why are you smiling? Because now I finally know something. What? Even billionaire heiresses panic around their crush. She covered her face with one hand. I am never living this down, am I? Not a chance. By the time we reached Scarlet, Luna's hand had unconsciously tightened around mine. Neither of us noticed. Not yet. She ended up talking to Scarlet funny enough it went well, and we left the gala and said our goodbye with a large thank you tip in my account. As soon as I saw the alert, I was legit jumping around the house. Wow. Rich people will pay huge money for stupid reasons. Oh, wise Wren, this was such a brilliant idea you thought of. I am proud of myself. I sat down laughing like I was crazy. If someone had told me 3 months earlier that I'd be sitting in my bedroom creating a how to flirt presentation for a billionaire, I'd have recommended therapy. Yet there I was, laptop open, notebook beside me. 3 cups of coffee deep into what Zoe had officially named Operation Make Scarlet Fall for Luna. Zoe leaned over my shoulder and nearly spat out her drink. Is that a PowerPoint? It is. Wren, please tell me you're joking. I'm taking my job seriously. She blinked. You made slides. I made diagrams. You made diagrams? I even used color coding. She stared at me for a solid 5 seconds before bursting into laughter. I can't believe we're friends. I can't believe you're judging excellence. She reached over and clicked to the next slide. Rule first, don't try too hard. This is actually good. I know. Rule second, ask questions. Rule third, stop talking about business. Rule fourth, eye contact. Rule fifth, don't mention your family's net worth every 5 minutes. Zoe nodded approvingly. Especially Rule 5. I know rich people. No, you don't. I've watched documentaries. She rolled her eyes. That's not the same thing. My phone buzzed. A message from Luna. I'm outside. I snapped my laptop shut. Wish me luck. Zoe grinned. You don't need luck. No, you need whatever miracle keeps billionaires from embarrassing themselves around their crush. Fair. When I stepped outside, Luna was standing beside the familiar black Mercedes. The moment she saw me, she smiled. Hi. She tilted her head. Why are you carrying a laptop? I have something important to show you. She looked suddenly nervous. Should I be worried? Absolutely. 5 minutes later, we were sitting inside a quiet coffee shop. Luna took one look at my laptop screen and covered her face. No. Oh yes. Wren. I clicked the remote dramatically. Welcome to your training. I hate this already. Too late. The title slide appeared. How to Make Scarlet Notice You. Prepared by Wren Blake, professional fake girlfriend. Luna laughed so hard she had to wipe tears from the corners of her eyes. You actually made this. I didn't sleep much. I can tell. I clicked to the next slide. Lesson 1. I'm listening. You need confidence. I have confidence. You absolutely do not. I do. You almost fainted when Scarlet said hello to you. That was one time. It happened twice. She groaned. I hired the meanest fake girlfriend in America. I prefer honest. For the next hour, we practiced over and over and over again. No. I shook my head. Too stiff. Luna sighed dramatically. This is how I normally stand. You look like you're waiting for the principal. She laughed. Okay, relax your shoulders. She did. Better. What now? Smile. She smiled. Not like you're paying taxes. She laughed again. There. I pointed at her. That one. What one? The laugh. What about it? That's your real smile. She blinked. Really? Use that one. For a brief moment, she just looked at me. You notice things. I shrugged. It's my job. No. She smiled softly. I think that's just who you are. I didn't know why, but that compliment stayed with me. That evening, Scarlett's beach house looked even more extravagant than I remembered. Rich people and hosting parties every weekend. Must be nice. Music floated across the ocean breeze while guests laughed around glowing fire pits. Luna took a deep breath. I'm nervous. Good. She looked at me. Good. It means you actually care. I wish I cared less. No, you don't. You're right. I smiled. I usually am. She rolled her eyes. Your confidence is concerning. My confidence pays rent. Fair point. As we walked inside, people immediately greeted Luna. She smiled politely, but I could tell she was looking for only one person. Then There she is. Scarlett stood near the balcony in a simple white dress, talking with a small group of friends. Luna froze. Oh no, what? I forgot how pretty she is. I looked toward Scarlett. Yeah, she was beautiful. Anyone with functioning eyesight could admit that. Then I looked back at Luna. You're doing it again. What? Overthinking. I can't help it. Remember slide 3, she frowned. There were 12 slides. The one about breathing. You made a breathing slide. I was very committed. She laughed. There it is. What? That smile. Oh, she smiled even wider. You're impossible. And yet, I gently nudged her shoulder. I'm the one who got hired. Before she could answer, Scarlett noticed us. She excused herself from her friends and walked over. Luna. Hi, Scarlett. It's good to see you again. You too. Then Scarlett looked at me. Wren, right? I smiled politely. That's me. I'm glad you came. Me too. Scarlett turned back to Luna. I've actually been meaning to ask you something. Luna's eyes widened ever so slightly. Really? Would you like to get some fresh air? For exactly 2 seconds. Luna forgot how words worked. I quietly cleared my throat. Very quietly. She glanced at me. I gave her the tiniest nod. You've got this. She took a slow breath before looking back at Scarlett. I'd love to. The two of them walked toward the balcony together. I watched them disappear into the crowd before smiling to myself. Mission accomplished. Well, I whispered under my breath. That was easier than I expected. Talking to yourself? I turned to find a waiter holding out a glass of sparkling water. Maybe. He laughed before walking away. I wandered toward one of the quieter corners of the garden, giving Luna and Scarlett the space they deserved. About 20 minutes later, I was halfway through a slice of cheesecake when Luna practically skipped over to me. Her cheeks were slightly pink. Wren. I looked up. Well, she tried to stay calm. She failed spectacularly. She asked if I'd like to have coffee with her next week. I slowly set my fork down, then smiled. No way. Yes way. She nodded so hard I thought her head might fall off. Oh my gosh, I know. We both burst into laughter. She grabbed both my hands and squeezed them excitedly. I can't believe it actually worked. I grinned. I told you. She shook her head. You made it happen. I just reminded you to breathe. You did so much more than that. She looked at me with so much gratitude that for a second I almost felt embarrassed. Thank you, Wren. I smiled. Hey, what are fake girlfriends for? Luna laughed. I don't know. What? I think. She squeezed my hands one last time before letting go. I hired the right one. For some reason, hearing that made me smile a little more than it probably should have. And at the time, I thought it was simply because I'd done my job well. I had no idea that helping Luna find love would slowly lead both of us towards something neither of us saw coming. Looking back now, I think success is a funny thing. At first you chase it because you think it'll solve all your problems. Then one day, you wake up and realize it quietly created a few new ones. I didn't notice it immediately. Probably because I was too busy. That afternoon, I'd just finished another fake date. My feet were killing me. My cheeks hurt from smiling. And if one more person asked me, so how did you two meet? I was honestly going to start making up the most ridiculous stories imaginable. I unlocked my apartment door, kicked my heels into one corner, and dropped my purse onto the couch. Silence. Dad wasn't home yet. Perfect. I stretched my arms above my head. I deserve a nap. I didn't even make it to my bedroom. The couch won. The next thing I knew, my phone was vibrating so hard it nearly fell onto the floor. I groaned. What now? Still half asleep, I reached for it. The screen lit up. 30 missed calls. I sat upright so fast I nearly gave myself whiplash. Zoe? 30? 30 missed calls? My stomach dropped. I immediately called her back. She answered on the first ring. Wren? I'm so sorry I fell asleep. Silence. Zoe? The movie ended an hour ago. My heart sank. Oh no, tonight. We were supposed to go to the movies tonight. I completely forgot. I'll come right now. You don't have to. I do. It's fine. It isn't. She sighed softly. Do whatever you want. The line went dead. I didn't even bother changing my clothes. I grabbed my keys and practically ran out of the apartment. When I got there, half full. Zoe was sitting alone on a bench outside the movie theater. The giant movie poster behind her was already being replaced with tomorrow's showing. She still had the popcorn bucket sitting beside her. She looked up when she heard my footsteps. You came. I told you I would. You also told me you'd be here 3 hours ago. Ouch. I know. I'm sorry. She looked down at the popcorn. I waited. Every word made me feel worse. I kept thinking. She laughed quietly. Maybe she's stuck in traffic. Maybe her phone died. Maybe something happened. She finally looked at me. But no, you were just on another fake date. I didn't know what to say, because she was right. I've been busy. I know. I need this business. I know. You don't understand. That came out harsher than I meant it to. Zoe frowned. No, I understand perfectly. She stood up. I know you're trying to build a future. I know you're trying to help your dad. I know this business means everything to you. She took a slow breath. But don't become so busy building your future that you forget the people who were there before you even had one. Silence. The words hit me harder than I wanted to admit. I wasn't trying to hurt you. I know. But you still did. I rubbed my forehead. I'll make it up to you. When? Tomorrow? You said that last week. And the week before that. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. She smiled. Not because she was happy, because she'd already accepted it. I should go. Zoe. She shook her head. Get home safely. Then she walked away. I stood there long after she'd disappeared into the crowd. For the first time in weeks, success didn't feel exciting. It felt lonely. I decided to walk home instead of calling a ride. Maybe the fresh air would clear my head. It didn't. The whole way home, Zoe's words kept replaying in my head. Don't become so busy building your future that you forget the people who were there before you even had one. I hated that she was right. I hated it even more because I'd been too stubborn to admit it. The city was quieter than usual. Most of the shops had already closed. Only the streetlights and a few late-night cafes were still awake. I had my hands buried in my pockets when a black Mercedes slowly pulled up beside me. I frowned. The driver's door opened. Wren? I looked over. Luna? She stepped out of the car, still wearing the same outfit she'd worn on her date with Scarlett. She smiled, but it faded the second she got a proper look at me. What happened? I forced a smile. Nothing. Wren, I'm fine. You look like you've been crying. I have allergies. At night. Very aggressive allergies. She laughed. You are such a terrible liar. I know. She gently nodded toward a nearby bench. Come on. For 5 minutes, I hesitated, then sighed. Fine. We sat down. Neither of us spoke for a little while. The silence wasn't awkward. It was comfortable. Eventually, I told her everything about Zoe. The movie, the missed calls, the argument, how guilty I felt. Luna listened without interrupting once. When I finally finished, she smiled softly. You know. What? I think Zoe was only angry because she misses you. I know. You should fix it. I will. I mean it. I know. She nudged my shoulder. You're a good friend. I don't feel like one. You made a mistake. She shrugged. That doesn't make you a bad person. I looked at her. How are you always so calm? Oh, she laughed. I'm absolutely not. I just fake it really well. That made me laugh. She laughed too. Soon we were joking about burnt toast. Terrible professors. That one economics lecturer who somehow made a 50-minute class feel like 5 hours and 5 years at the same time. Before I realized it, the sadness I'd been carrying all evening felt lighter. Then, Luna turned toward me. She was closer than I realized. Close enough that I could see the tiny dimple that appeared whenever she smiled. Close enough that I noticed how soft her lips looked beneath the glow of the streetlight. My eyes drifted down for just a second. Maybe 2. My heart suddenly started beating so fast it actually scared me. Girl, what are you doing? I quickly looked away. She has a girlfriend. You literally helped her get that girlfriend. Get yourself together, Wren. You okay? Luna's voice pulled me back. Huh? You kind of zoned out. Oh. I stood up so quickly I almost tripped over my own feet. Well, she blinked. Well, I should. I pointed in a random direction. Go. So suddenly? Yep. But your apartment is the other way. I know. I looked at the street, then back at her. I was just testing you. She burst into laughter. You're impossible. I get that a lot. She smiled warmly. I'm really glad I found you tonight. Me too. She hugged me briefly before climbing back into her car. I stood there watching the Mercedes disappear around the corner. Only when it was gone did I finally let out the breath I'd been holding. I touched my chest. My heart was still racing. What? I whispered to myself. Was that? I walked the rest of the way home completely confused. The moment I got inside, I leaned against the front door and slid down onto the floor. I covered my face with both hands. No, absolutely not. Wren Blake. I groaned dramatically. You are not crushing on Luna Carter. She has a girlfriend. She's your friend. Your former client. And most importantly, you were literally the reason she got the girl she wanted. So why couldn't I stop thinking about the way she smiled at me? I had no answer. And honestly, that scared me more than anything. Looking back now, I probably should have seen it sooner. But I was too busy celebrating for Luna to notice the tiny cracks forming right in front of me. After all, she finally got the girl she'd been dreaming about for months. Everything should have been perfect. At least, that's what I kept telling myself. About a month passed. Business was still keeping me busy, classes were slowly trying to destroy my sanity, and somehow Dad had started smiling a little more these days. Seeing him laugh over dinner because he no longer had to worry about rent made every fake date worth it. One afternoon, my phone buzzed while I was studying. Luna calling, I answered immediately. So? I smiled. How's the world's happiest girlfriend? There was a short pause, then Luna laughed. I'm good. That wasn't the answer I expected. Usually she'd spend the first 5 minutes telling me every tiny detail about her dates with Scarlett. This time, nothing. So, how was date night? It was nice. That's it. It was nice. I frowned. Luna wasn't usually this quiet. You sound weird. I'm just tired. You sure? Okay. Something told me not to push it. A few days later, I was closing the cafe when Luna walked in. She wasn't dressed up, no fancy clothes, no makeup, just an oversized hoodie and messy hair tied into a bun. You look exhausted. She dropped into the chair across from me. I am. Bad day? She sighed. Not exactly. I waited. Eventually, she started talking. Scarlett invited me to dinner. That sounds good. It would've? She canceled. Oh. Her manager booked her for some fashion campaign. I nodded. That happens. I know. She quickly smiled. It's not a big deal. It was strange. She kept saying it wasn't a big deal, but she also kept talking about it. So what did you do instead? She shrugged. Came here. I laughed. So I'm the backup plan. No, she smiled. You're the person I don't have to make plans with. For some reason, that sentence stayed with me. We ended up ordering instant noodles from the convenience store next door. Very glamorous. I know. The owner gave us 2 plastic forks and looked at us like we'd completely lost our minds. Luna took one bite before making the most dramatic face I'd ever seen. This is terrible. It is. She took another bite. Why am I still eating it? Because it's cheap and weirdly comforting. Exactly. She pointed her fork at me. You understand. I always understand. She laughed. Then somehow, the conversation turned into us complaining about professors. Then childhood cartoons. Then the time Dad accidentally tried to fix the microwave and somehow made the entire apartment smell like burnt popcorn for 2 weeks. Luna laughed so hard she nearly dropped her noodles. I can't believe your dad actually did that. I wish I were making it up. By the time we finished eating, my stomach hurt from laughing. So, I looked at the clock hanging above the counter. It's almost 10. Luna followed my gaze. What? You got here just after 5? She blinked. No, yes. I've seriously been here for 5 hours. You have. She looked genuinely surprised. It didn't even feel that long. I smiled. I guess time flies when you're making fun of my family. She laughed again. I'm serious. I didn't even notice. Neither did I. As we walked outside, her phone buzzed. Scarlett. Luna smiled before answering. Hey, I politely stepped away to give her some privacy. A minute later, she walked back over. Everything okay? She nodded. Yeah, Scarlett. What does she want? She wanted to apologize for canceling dinner. That's nice. It is. Luna smiled, but something about it looked forced. She's taking me somewhere fancy tomorrow. See? I nudged her shoulder. I told you she'd make it up to you. I know. She nodded. I guess I was worrying over nothing. I smiled. Exactly. Back then, I honestly believed that over the next couple of weeks, it became a pattern. Scarlett would cancel, then apologize, then plan something even bigger. A luxury restaurant, a yacht party, a very important person concert, a weekend getaway. The dates were always incredible. Expensive. Beautiful. Perfect. At least, that's what they looked like on Instagram. But every time something went wrong, Luna never called Scarlett first. She called me, Wren. Do you think I'm overthinking, Wren? Do you think she still likes me, Wren? Am I being dramatic? I answered every single call, never thinking twice about it. After all, that's what friends do. Right? One evening, after hanging up another one of Luna's late-night phone calls, I caught myself smiling. Dad looked up from the newspaper. Good conversation? I nodded. Luna, the rich girl. Yeah. He smiled knowingly. You laugh a lot when you're talking to her? I do? I thought about it for a second. She's just easy to talk to. Dad went back to reading his newspaper. I found the easiest people to talk to are usually the ones who matter the most. I laughed. Dad? You're getting old. I prefer wise. I rolled my eyes. At the time, I thought he was just being sentimental. Looking back now, I think he noticed something long before either of us did. People think my fake girlfriend business was glamorous. It wasn't. For every fancy gala, there were 5 very ordinary jobs. And honestly, those ordinary ones usually became my favorites. That Saturday morning, I accepted what looked like the easiest booking I'd had all month. Client, Margaret Wilson. Age, 74. Request, would you mind keeping an old woman company for a few hours? That was it. No fake family, no jealous ex. No pretending to be madly in love. Just company. I almost thought she'd booked the wrong app. When I arrived at the small park downtown, I spotted her immediately. She was sitting on a wooden bench feeding pigeons. Silver hair. Bright yellow cardigan. Tiny reading glasses balanced on the end of her nose. The moment she saw me, she smiled. You must be Wren. I am. I'm Margaret. It's nice to meet you. Oh, sweetheart. She gently waved her hand. Come sit, I did. For a few minutes, neither of us said anything. We simply watched the pigeons fight over breadcrumbs. Finally, I couldn't help asking. So, what exactly would you like me to do today? She looked at me as though I'd asked the funniest question in the world. Nothing. Nothing. I just didn't want to spend the afternoon alone. I blinked. Really? My husband used to come here every Saturday. Her smile softened. He passed away 4 years ago. I'm sorry. So am I. She looked out across the lake. But grief gets quieter. It never leaves. It just... She searched for the right words. Learns how to whisper. I didn't know why, but that sentence stayed with me. For the next 2 hours, we walked through the park. She told me stories about her husband, how he'd burned pancakes every Sunday, how he'd insisted he could fix anything around the house, how he once accidentally painted their dog blue while repainting the kitchen. I laughed so hard people started looking at us. He painted your dog? He swore it was an accident. I'm sure it was. It absolutely wasn't. By the end of the story, my stomach hurt from laughing. Margaret looked at me and smiled. You have a lovely laugh. Thank you. My Harold used to laugh like that. I'll take that as a compliment. It is. Around lunchtime, we stopped at a tiny cafe. She stirred her tea for a while before asking, Can I ask you something? Sure. Are you in love? I nearly choked on my sandwich. What? She laughed. I'll take that as a no. I'm definitely not. No one special. I immediately shook my head. Nope, not even a little. No, I don't have time. She smiled knowingly. Ah, you're one of those. One of what? The people who think love waits until you're finished chasing your dreams. I frowned. Doesn't it? She chuckled. No, it usually shows up while you're too busy looking somewhere else. I stared at her. She continued stirring her tea. My Harold wasn't the man I thought I'd marry. He wasn't? Oh goodness, no. I spent years chasing someone else. What happened? I realized one day. She smiled to herself. The man I'd been looking for had been quietly walking beside me all along. For some reason, that sentence made my chest tighten. She looked at me. Love isn't always loud, Wren. It isn't fireworks. It isn't grand gestures. Sometimes. She smiled softly. It's simply the person who makes ordinary days feel extraordinary. Neither of us spoke after that. Later that afternoon, as Margaret's driver helped her into the car, she reached into her handbag. She handed me a small envelope. My payment. You've already paid through the app. I know. This isn't money. Confused, I opened it. Inside was an old photograph. A younger Margaret sat on a picnic blanket beside a man who couldn't stop smiling at her. On the back she'd written, The greatest love of my life looked ordinary to everyone except me. I looked back up. Why are you giving me this? Because one day, she smiled, you'll understand. That evening, I couldn't stop thinking about her words. I was halfway home when my phone rang. Luna. Hey, Wren. She sounded tired. Everything okay? Scarlett had to cancel dinner again. Oh, fashion event, I figured. A few seconds passed. Then Luna laughed quietly. Do you want to grab ice cream? I smiled. Now? Yeah. I kind of don't want to go home yet. I looked up at the sunset, then back down at the old photograph still tucked safely inside my bag. Sure. 20 minutes later, the two of us were sitting on the hood of Luna's car, eating melting ice cream, while arguing whether pineapple belonged on pizza. Somehow, that simple conversation made me laugh harder than I had all week. I glanced at Luna. She was laughing too. For just a second, Margaret's words echoed inside my head. Sometimes it's simply the person who makes ordinary days feel extraordinary. I quickly looked away. No, that couldn't possibly be what she meant. Could it? I pushed the thought aside, finished my ice cream, and kept laughing, completely unaware that life had already started answering Margaret's question for both of us. Know what's funny? Looking back now, I genuinely thought I was protecting Luna's relationship. I had no idea. I was slowly becoming the biggest threat to it. One Friday evening, I was just leaving the cafe when my phone rang. Luna. Hey, Billionaire. There was a pause. Hi, immediately. I knew something was wrong. You okay? I was supposed to have dinner with Scarlett. She had to cancel. Again. Another fashion campaign. Another last-minute event. Another apology. I told her it was okay. But, she laughed quietly, I was actually looking forward to tonight. I know. There was another silence. Then she asked, Are you busy? I looked at the empty street. Not really. Can you save me from dying of boredom? I smiled. I think I can do that. 20 minutes later, Luna pulled up outside the cafe. The second she stepped out of the car, I pointed at her. Absolutely not. She blinked. What? You've got your sad face on. I do not. You absolutely do. I look normal. You look like someone canceled your birthday. She sighed dramatically. I hate how well you know me. I've had practice. She folded her arms. So, what are we doing? I shrugged. No idea. But you're not going home looking miserable. Our first stop was a tiny ice cream stand near the park. Luna ordered vanilla. I ordered chocolate. You have terrible taste, she gasped dramatically. Vanilla is classic. It's boring. It's elegant. It's frozen milk. She looked offended. I can't believe we're friends. Before I could defend myself, she reached over, scooped a tiny bit of vanilla onto her finger, and smeared it across my cheek. I froze. Girl, she burst into laughter. You should have seen your face. Oh, I slowly smiled. You want to play? Her smile disappeared. Wait, too late. I dipped my spoon into my chocolate ice cream and lightly tapped it onto the tip of her nose. She gasped. Wren Blake, what? You started a war. The next 5 minutes consisted of 2 grown women chasing each other around a park with melting ice cream, while several children watched us like we'd completely lost our minds. I hadn't laughed that hard in weeks. Eventually, we collapsed onto the grass, breathing heavily. I think, Luna laughed between breaths, we just got banned from being responsible adults. We were never responsible adults. Fair point. As we walked through the park, a small crowd had gathered near one of the game booths. A cheerful woman waved us over. We need 2 more contestants. Luna looked at me. Wren, no, we're doing it. I don't even know what we're playing. We'll figure it out. Before I could protest, she dragged me over. 10 minutes later, we were completely terrible at it. I missed every target. Luna somehow threw a beanbag backwards. The crowd laughed. We laughed even harder. Then, by some miracle, the final round was worth double points. I landed 1 lucky throw. The announcer looked at the scoreboard. We have winners, Luna screamed. Wren! Before I even had time to react, she threw both arms around me. Oh my gosh, we actually won. I know. Still laughing, she pulled back just enough to cup my face with both hands. You did it. I got lucky. I don't care. Then, without thinking, she kissed my forehead. That's my girl. Silence. The smile slowly disappeared from her face. I mean, she laughed awkwardly. My teammate. My karaoke partner. She pointed at me helplessly. Person. I burst into laughter. You really saved that. I absolutely did not. No. I wiped tears from my eyes. You absolutely did not. She covered her face. I am never speaking again. I'll miss your dramatic speeches. Our prize? 2 free karaoke vouchers. Luna looked at them, then looked at me. We have to? We really don't. We absolutely do. I value my ears. I value free things. That's actually fair. Neither of us could sing. At all. Luna somehow turned every high note into a cry for help. I wasn't much better. Halfway through the second song, we were laughing too hard to keep singing. The employee outside our room knocked gently. Everything okay in there? Luna nodded confidently. We're incredibly talented. The employee looked unconvinced. Very unconvinced. The second he walked away, we both collapsed onto the couch laughing. My voice is gone, I nodded. So is mine. Worth it? Worth it? On the way back to the car, we spotted one of those tiny old-fashioned photo booths. Luna immediately grabbed my wrist. One more thing. No? Yes. I already embarrassed myself enough today. You'll survive. 3, 2, 1. The first photo, normal smiles. The second, Luna put bunny ears behind my head. The third, We laughed so hard neither of us looked at the camera. The fourth, without thinking. Luna rested her head against my shoulder. The camera flashed. Neither of us noticed. The drive home was quieter. Not awkward, just comfortable. Luna smiled as she looked out the window. I had more fun today than I've had in weeks. I looked over at her. Really? She nodded. Thank you. For what? For not letting me go home. I smiled. That's what friends are for. She reached over and gently brushed a loose strand of hair away from my face. There. I completely froze. You had hair in your eyes? Oh, thanks. She smiled. You're welcome. The rest of the drive passed in silence, not because we had nothing to say, because somehow the silence itself felt peaceful. When she finally dropped me off, I got out of the car. See you tomorrow? Definitely. I closed the door and watched her drive away. Only then did I realize my heart was beating ridiculously fast. I pressed a hand against my chest. Girl, I whispered to myself, what is actually wrong with you? First the forehead kiss, then her touching my face. I closed my eyes. No, absolutely not. Wren Blake. I groaned all the way up the apartment stairs. You are not crushing on Luna Carter. She has a girlfriend. She's your friend. And you were literally the reason she got the girl she'd been dreaming about. So, why couldn't I stop smiling? And somewhere across the city, Luna pulled the photo booth strip from her pocket. She smiled at the last picture, the one where she'd been leaning on Wren's shoulder without even realizing it. For some reason, she couldn't bring herself to throw it away. If you'd asked me back then, I would have told you Luna and Scarlett were doing great. They still looked perfect together. They still posted cute pictures. They still went to expensive restaurants. And every single comment under their photos said the exact same thing. Relationship goals. Funny. Because nobody ever posts the quiet moments, the canceled plans, the awkward silences, or the way someone's smile slowly starts looking more polite than happy. I was working the morning shift when the cafe door flew open. Luna? She walked in carrying 2 paper bags. I brought breakfast. I looked at the clock. It's 9 a.m. You hate mornings, I know. You drove 30 minutes just to bring me breakfast. She smiled. Maybe. I narrowed my eyes. What did you do? She laughed. Nothing, Luna. She placed the bags on the counter. I wanted to see you. For some reason, that sentence made my heart skip. I quickly ignored it. Well, I held up one of the bags. I'll forgive you because these smell amazing. Linda walked past us, looked at the 2 bags, and looked at Luna. You must be the rich friend. Luna smiled politely. I've heard a lot about you. Linda looked at me, then back at Luna, then smiled to herself. I like her. I frowned. You met her 3 seconds ago. My judgment is excellent. It's terrible. It really isn't. She walked away humming. Luna leaned closer. Does she always do that? Unfortunately. We ate breakfast outside the cafe before my shift started. Luna looked distracted. Not sad, just somewhere else. You've been quiet. You've only stolen 1 bite of my food. She gasped dramatically. I have standards. No, you have my breakfast. She laughed. There she is. What? The real Luna. She smiled. I've missed laughing. I blinked. You laughed yesterday. She looked down at her coffee. Like this. Before I could ask what she meant, her phone buzzed. Scarlett. Luna smiled as she answered. Hey. I politely stood up. I'll give you some privacy. She nodded thankfully. I walked a few steps away. Not enough to hear the conversation. Just enough to pretend I wasn't accidentally watching her expression change. At first, she smiled. Then she looked confused. Then disappointed. When she hung up, she forced another smile. Everything okay? She nodded automatically. Yeah, Luna, she sighed. Scarlett's leaving tonight. Oh, business trip. For how long? A week. I smiled. That's not too bad. No. She nodded. It isn't. But she didn't sound convinced. The week passed surprisingly slowly. Mostly because Luna kept calling me. Wren, guess what happened today? Or, I found the cutest little bookstore. Or, Wren. I tried making pancakes. And, let's just say the smoke alarm got involved. I laughed so hard I almost dropped my phone. You almost burned down your mansion. It was 1 pancake. It was charcoal. It had personality. It had a funeral. She laughed. You are so mean. And yet, you called me. I did. By Friday, Scarlett was finally back. I figured Luna would disappear for the whole weekend. Instead, at 6 that evening, my phone buzzed. Luna, Are you free? I smiled. I thought tonight was date night. 3 little dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, she had to stay late at work. Again. I stared at the screen for a moment, then typed, "Come over." Dad just ordered pizza. An hour later, the 3 of us were sitting in my tiny living room. Dad was arguing with Luna over whether pineapple belonged on pizza. It absolutely belongs. It absolutely doesn't. It does. It doesn't. I sat there watching the 2 of them argue like children. At one point, Dad looked at me. "Whose side are you on?" I plead the 5th. "We're in Australia." Then I plead something. Luna laughed so hard she almost dropped her slice. By the time she left, the apartment felt strangely quiet. Dad started collecting the empty pizza boxes, then casually asked, "Doesn't she have a girlfriend?" I looked up. "Yeah." "Then why does she spend so much time here?" I shrugged. "We're friends." He nodded slowly. What? Nothing. No. I pointed at him. "You've got that face." "What face?" "The one where you know something." He smiled. "I don't know anything." "Sure, across the city." Luna walked into her bedroom. Her phone buzzed. A message from Scarlett. "Sorry today was hectic. I'll make it up to you tomorrow." Luna smiled. She should have felt excited. Instead, she found herself thinking about the last 2 hours. Dad's terrible jokes. Wren laughing until she cried. The tiny apartment. The pizza. None of it was expensive. None of it was glamorous. But somehow, it was the happiest she'd been all week. She slowly sat on the edge of her bed, then whispered something she'd never thought she'd say. "Why do I always wish the day lasted a little longer when I'm with Wren?" The question scared her, because for the first time, she wasn't sure she wanted the answer. Have you ever had one of those mornings where your life is perfectly fine, then 5 minutes later, everything is on fire? Yeah, welcome to mine. I woke up because my phone wouldn't stop vibrating. At first I thought it was another client. I reached over without even opening my eyes. "Hello?" Nobody answered. I frowned, pulled the phone away from my ear, then realized it wasn't a call, it was notifications. Hundreds of them. What in God's name? Still half asleep, I unlocked my phone. Instagram, messages, the app, emails. Everything was exploding. One notification caught my attention. "Zoe, Wren don't open social media yet. Call me." Too late. I had already opened it. The very first video on my screen made my stomach drop. Someone had recorded one of my fake dates. Not just recorded it. They'd uploaded the whole thing. The caption read, "This girl gets paid to pretend she's in love. Is this what society has come to?" My heart stopped. The comments were even worse. "This is pathetic. People actually pay for this. She goes to our university. I know her. She's basically scamming people." I couldn't breathe. My phone rang. Zoe. I answered immediately. "Hello? Wren. I know. No, you don't. I know. They found everything." An hour later, I was sitting inside my apartment staring at my laptop. Every few seconds, another cancellation came through. Booking canceled. Booking canceled. Booking canceled. One after another. It felt like watching months of hard work disappear in real time. Dad quietly walked into the living room. He looked at my face, then at the laptop. "Bad news?" I laughed, not because it was funny, because I genuinely didn't know what else to do. I swallowed hard. I just lost my business. Dad didn't ask questions. He simply sat beside me. For a while, neither of us spoke. Finally, he nudged my shoulder. "You know what? I've watched you build this from nothing." Tears burned behind my eyes. "I know. So if anyone can build something again," he smiled, "it's you." That was all it took. I broke. The tears I'd been holding back all morning finally came out. I worked so hard. I know. I was finally helping us. I know. I ruined everything. Dad wrapped an arm around my shoulders. "You made mistakes," he smiled gently. "That doesn't mean you're ruined." A knock came from the front door. I quickly wiped my eyes. "I'll get it." Dad stood up. When he opened the door, I heard a familiar voice. "Is she home?" "Luna." Dad looked back at me. "I think she's here for you." The second Luna walked inside, her smile disappeared. Wren. She'd never seen me like this before. Eyes swollen. Hair a mess. Laptop surrounded by cancellation emails. She slowly walked over. "What happened?" I laughed bitterly. "You haven't checked the internet today?" She frowned. "No." I turned the laptop toward her. She read the headline, then another, then another. Her face slowly changed. I know." She looked back at me. "They're calling you a fraud." "I know." "They don't even know the truth." "I know." Her jaw tightened, for the first time since I'd met her. She actually looked angry. Not at me, at everyone else. This isn't fair, I shrugged. Maybe it is. Wren, I lied to people. You provided a service. I pretended. You gave people confidence. I charged them to fake love. No, she shook her head. You helped people through moments they couldn't face alone. I looked away. Apparently the internet disagrees. For a while, neither of us said anything. Then Luna quietly stood up. Come on, I blinked. What? We're going out. Luna, I don't want to. I know. That's exactly why we're leaving. I look terrible. I've seen you with chocolate ice cream all over your face. That's different. It really isn't. Despite everything, a tiny laugh escaped me. There she is. What? That's the Wren I know. 20 minutes later, we were sitting on the swings in the same park where we'd had our ice cream fight. Neither of us was swinging. We just sat there. The playground was almost empty. A little boy kept trying to climb the monkey bars while his dad cheered him on. Luna watched quietly. You know, she finally said, when I was little, I was terrified of falling. I looked at her. My dad used to tell me something. What? If you never climb because you're scared of falling, you'll spend your whole life wondering how high you could have gone. I smiled weakly. Your dad sounds smarter than mine, she laughed. I don't know. I think your dad wins. We sat in silence again. Then, without warning, I felt something warm wrap around my hand. I looked down. Luna had reached over and taken my hand. Not romantically, not dramatically, just held it, like she wanted me to know I wasn't alone. She didn't even seem to realize she'd done it. My heart immediately forgot how to behave. Girl, not now. This is not the time. I took a slow breath, trying very hard to ignore the fact that her hand fit perfectly in mine. I believe in you. Her voice was barely above a whisper. I looked at her. What? I believed in you before the app. She smiled. I believed in you when you were teaching me how to flirt. She laughed softly. I believed in you when you bought me emergency plastic forks. That finally made me smile, and she squeezed my hand gently. I'll believe in you after this too. I didn't realize I was crying again, until she reached over and wiped a tear from my cheek with her thumb. You're going to be okay. Nobody had ever said those words with so much certainty before. I wanted to believe her, more than anything. When she finally dropped me home that evening, I sat in her parked car for another minute. Neither of us moved. Thank you, she smiled. You don't have to thank me. I do. What are friends for? Friends. That word echoed inside my chest. Friends. Right, that's all we were. So why did my heart hurt every time she smiled at me? I quietly got out of the car and watched her drive away. Then I looked down at my phone. For the first time since everything fell apart, there were no new cancellations, no angry comments, no notifications, just one message. From Zoe. I'm coming over tonight. You're not going through this alone. Looking back now, losing my business wasn't the hardest part. The hardest part was learning how to live without it. For weeks, my phone barely made a sound. No bookings, no excited clients, no notifications, just silence. It was strange. I'd spent months wishing for a day off. Now I'd have done anything to hear that notification one more time. Dad noticed it too. You've been staring at that phone for 10 minutes. I looked up. I have not. You have. I'm thinking, you've blinked twice. I blink when I think. He laughed. I know you're hurting. I sighed. I searched for the right word. Lost. He smiled sadly. You'll find your way. I hope so. You always do. The weirdest part, the person who refused to let me disappear, was Luna. Every morning, a message. Good morning. Eat breakfast. Every afternoon. How's your day? Every evening. Want to go for a walk? If I didn't reply within an hour, she'd call. Wren, I'm alive. I know. You didn't answer. I was sleeping. I'll allow it. One Saturday, she showed up outside my apartment with absolutely no warning. I opened the door. What are you doing here? She held up 2 helmets. We're going somewhere. I don't even own a bike. She smiled proudly. I rented them. Why? Because you've been hiding inside this apartment for a week. I've been healing. You've been avoiding sunlight. Same thing. No. She grabbed my wrist. Come on. Half an hour later, we were riding bicycles along the beach. Well, Luna was riding. I was trying not to crash into innocent pedestrians. Watch out. I'm trying. You almost hit that seagull. He looked at me funny. He was eating bread. He knew what he did. Luna laughed so hard she nearly rode into a bush herself. After what felt like the longest bike ride of my life, We stopped near the pier. The ocean stretched endlessly in front of us. The breeze carried the smell of salt and fresh fish. I leaned against the railing. I needed this. I know. She stood beside me. Neither of us spoke. The silence felt comfortable, the kind that never asked to be filled. You know? Luna suddenly said. I've been thinking. That usually worries me. She laughed. It should. What about? She looked out at the waves. I don't think I ever properly thanked you. For what? For changing my life. I frowned. I didn't. You did. If it wasn't for you, I never would have had the courage to talk to Scarlett. I smiled. You did all the hard work. She shook her head. No. You believed in me before I believed in myself. Her words reminded me of Margaret. Sometimes it's simply the person who makes ordinary days feel extraordinary. I looked at Luna. She was watching the waves, completely unaware I was watching her. Then, another memory. The karaoke, the forehead kiss, the photo booth, the park swings, the emergency plastic forks, the pizza with Dad, the ice cream fight. Every single memory that made me laugh over the past few months, somehow, included her. My chest tightened. Oh. Luna turned toward me. What? I quickly looked away. Nothing. You made your thinking face. I have a thinking face? You do. You do. She laughed. It really is. We walked along the beach until sunset. The sky turned orange, then pink, then purple. Luna suddenly stopped. Wren. Can I ask you something? Sure. When everything happened with your business, who was the first person you wanted to see? The question caught me off guard. I didn't even have to think. You. The answer came so naturally that I didn't realize what I'd said until it was already out. We both froze. Oh. I laughed awkwardly. You just happened to be there. She smiled softly. Right, but I rubbed the back of my neck. I guess I always feel better after talking to you. She didn't answer. She just looked at me, really looked at me. For a second, the entire beach disappeared. It was just us, the sound of the waves, and two hearts beating a little faster than they should have. Then, her phone rang. Scarlett. The moment shattered. Luna glanced at the screen. The smile on her face faded slightly. I should answer. Yeah. She walked a few steps away. I leaned against the railing again, trying to ignore the strange ache in my chest. A few minutes later, she came back. Everything okay? She nodded. Scarlett wants to see me. I smiled. Then go. She hesitated. Are you sure? Of course. She studied my face for a moment before nodding. I'll call you later. I'll be here. She smiled, then left. I watched her car disappear down the road. Only then did I whisper the one sentence I'd been trying to avoid. I think I'm in trouble. Because for the first time, I wasn't missing my business. I wasn't worrying about the future. I wasn't thinking about money. I was wondering, why saying goodbye to Luna for one evening suddenly felt so difficult. I closed my eyes. Then Margaret's voice echoed in my head one last time. The person you've been looking for may have been quietly walking beside you all along. I slowly smiled to myself. No way, I whispered. You've got to be kidding me. Scarlett's end-of-semester house party was exactly what you'd expect from someone with billionaire parents. The place looked like something straight out of a magazine. Fairy lights wrapped around the trees. A live band played near the pool. People laughed with champagne glasses in their hands. Some were dancing. Others were taking pictures. Meanwhile, I was standing beside the snack table wondering why rich people always served food that looked expensive but somehow never filled you up. Is this even a spring roll? Luna laughed beside me. You've been staring at it for 5 minutes. I'm trying to understand it. It's food. I don't trust it. She laughed so hard she almost spilled her drink. I'll make you noodles later. Now that's real food. She bumped my shoulder. You really are impossible. And yet, I smiled. You're still here. She smiled back. I am. For a second, neither of us looked away. Then Zoe suddenly appeared between us. There you two are. I jumped. Girl, you scared me. She grinned. Good. She grabbed my wrist. Come dance. I'd rather eat decorative flowers. You have no rhythm. I know. So tonight we're fixing that. Before I could argue, she dragged me toward the dance floor. I looked back at Luna. Save me. Luna laughed. I'll pray for you. Traitor. After about 20 minutes of Zoe bullying me into dancing, I escaped. Barely. I grabbed a bottle of water and looked around. Where did Luna go? I spotted Scarlett talking to a few guests. No Luna. Maybe she was upstairs. I started walking toward the hallway. At the same time, Luna had gone upstairs looking for the bathroom. She'd walked past one of the guest rooms when she heard voices. She wasn't trying to listen. She really wasn't. But then, she heard Scarlett's name. She stopped. Inside the room, Reed stood in front of Scarlett. His jaw was tight, his hands clenched into fists. "I'm done." Scarlett looked confused. Done with what? "I'm done pretending." She froze. Reed took one slow step forward. "I've watched you torture yourself for months. I've watched Luna get hurt. I've watched you get hurt, and I'm tired." Scarlett looked away. "Reed, no, you listen to me this time." His voice shook, not with anger, with emotion. "I don't care what your father says anymore. I don't care about the business. I don't care about the media. I love you." Scarlett's breathing stopped. "I've loved you since college. I should have said something years ago. I was stupid. I thought you were happy. I thought I was doing the right thing by staying quiet." He swallowed. "But I can't watch you keep destroying yourself." Tears filled Scarlett's eyes. "Reed, I'm serious. I'll take care of you. We'll figure everything else out. But stop hurting yourself. And stop hurting Luna." Outside the door, Luna's entire world shattered. She covered her mouth, her eyes immediately filled with tears. "No," she whispered. "No." At that exact moment, I reached the hallway. I was about to call Luna's name when I saw her standing outside the room, completely frozen. "Luna?" She turned toward me. I'll never forget that look. It was like someone had reached into her chest and ripped her heart out. The bedroom door opened. Scarlett stepped outside. Then Reed. The second Scarlett saw Luna, the color drained from her face. "Luna, it isn't." She couldn't even finish the sentence. Luna looked from Scarlett to Reed, then back again. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. The silence hurt more than shouting ever could. Finally, Scarlett whispered, "Please let me explain." Luna laughed, not because anything was funny, because she was trying not to cry. So, she nodded slowly. "That's why." Scarlett shook her head immediately. "No, it isn't what you think." "Then tell me." Her voice cracked. "Tell me what I'm supposed to think." Nobody answered. That was answer enough. The tears finally escaped. Luna turned around and ran. "Wren?" Scarlett looked at me desperately. "Please." I didn't wait to hear the rest. I ran after Luna. She didn't stop until she reached the beach behind the house. The waves crashed against the shore. She stood there crying with her back to me. "Luna." She didn't turn around. "I should have known. You couldn't have." "I should have." "You loved her." "I did." Her voice broke. I loved her so much. Every word hurt to hear because the girl I had quietly fallen in love with was crying over somebody else, and there was absolutely nothing I could do to fix it. I slowly walked over. Without saying a word, I wrapped my arms around her. She didn't hesitate. She buried her face against my shoulder and cried. Really cried. The kind that makes your chest ache. The kind that leaves you unable to breathe. I just held her for as long as she needed. Later that night, I took her back to my apartment. She sat quietly on the couch, wrapped in my favorite blanket. I disappeared into the kitchen. A few minutes later, I came back carrying a steaming mug. She looked up. "What's this?" "Ginger tea." She smiled weakly. "You remembered. You always drink ginger tea when you're upset." She accepted the mug. "Thank you." I sat beside her. Neither of us spoke. The apartment was completely silent except for the rain tapping against the windows. She took a small sip, then leaned her head against my shoulder. "I feel so stupid." "No. I should have seen it. You loved someone. That doesn't make you stupid." She closed her eyes. I really thought she was my forever. My heart tightened. I wanted so badly to tell her, "I'm right here." Instead, I simply rested my head lightly against hers. "I'm sorry, Luna." She reached over, without opening her eyes, and held my hand. "I know." About an hour later, there was a knock at the door. I opened it. Reed stood outside. He looked like he hadn't stopped blaming himself since the party. "Can I come in?" I looked back at Luna. She nodded, quietly. Reed walked inside. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then he looked directly at Luna. "I'm sorry." She stared at him. "I should have told the truth months ago. I thought staying quiet was protecting everyone. I was wrong. I hurt you. And I'll regret that for the rest of my life." Luna wiped away another tear. "You know what hurts the most?" Reed lowered his head. "What?" "I don't hate either of you." She smiled sadly. "I just wish you'd trusted me enough to tell me the truth." Reed's eyes filled with tears. "You're right. I should have. I was a coward." Luna stood up, walked over, and hugged him. Not because she wasn't hurt, but because she was finally letting go. I forgive you. Reed broke down. I'm so sorry, I know. She smiled gently. Go. You should probably tell Scarlett that. He nodded. Thank you. As he walked to the door, he stopped beside me, quietly saying, Take care of her. I looked toward Luna. She was still holding the warm mug between both hands. I will. Reed smiled, then quietly left. Luna looked out the rain-covered window. For the first time all night, she took a deep breath. I looked at her. What? I can finally start moving on. I smiled softly. I'll be here. She smiled back. I know. People always say, time heals everything. I don't think that's true. I think time simply gives your heart permission to start beating normally again. 2 months had passed since the night everything changed. Scarlett and Reed were together now, and for the first time since I'd met them, they both looked genuinely happy. There were no more pretending, no more family pressure, no more forcing something that wasn't meant to be. Luna, she smiled again. Not the polite smile she'd worn for months. Her real one, the one that crinkled the corners of her eyes, the one I'd secretly missed. As for me, life wasn't perfect. My fake dating app never really recovered. I decided not to rebuild it. Maybe because, for the first time, I didn't feel like pretending anymore. I woke up to someone aggressively banging on my apartment door. Bang, bang, bang! I groaned into my pillow. If that's the landlord, tell him I'm dead. Another bang. Wren. That sounds like Zoe. I dragged myself out of bed, hair looking like I'd fought a tornado and lost. The moment I opened the door, Zoe shoved a tiny cupcake into my face. Happy birthday! I blinked. Birthday, she stared at me. You forgot your own birthday. I looked at the calendar hanging behind the door. Oh, she folded her arms. You actually forgot. I've had a busy month. Wren, she laughed. Only you would forget your own birthday. Half an hour later, I was brushing my teeth when my phone buzzed. Luna, good morning, birthday girl. For some reason, that tiny red heart made me smile. I quickly typed back, thank you. Almost instantly, another message appeared. Don't make plans tonight. I frowned. Why? Just trust me. I smiled. That sounds suspicious. The entire day felt weird. Linda hugged me before my shift started. Happy birthday, kid. Thanks. She never hugged anyone. Then she disappeared into the kitchen before I could ask why. Even stranger, Scarlett texted me. Happy birthday, Wren. See you tonight. Reed texted too. Don't be late. Late for what? Nobody answered. Even Dad called. He wished me happy birthday, then somehow ended the call in under 30 seconds. Dad, the man who normally talked for an hour. Something was definitely happening. At exactly 6 p.m, Luna pulled up outside my apartment. She wasn't dressed in one of her expensive designer outfits. Instead, she wore light blue jeans, a cream sweater, white sneakers. Simple, beautiful. She smiled as I climbed into the passenger seat. Happy birthday. Thank you. You look nice. So do you. She laughed. You're blushing. I am not. You absolutely are. I think it's the weather. It's winter. Exactly. She laughed again. God, I'd missed that laugh. So, I looked around. Where are we going? It's a surprise. I don't like surprises. You literally love surprises. I like knowing about surprises before they happen. That's not how surprises work. Good point. About 20 minutes later, she parked beside the little park where we'd had our first ice cream fight. I frowned. The park. Come on. She held out her hand. Without thinking, I took it. The moment our fingers touched, my heart did that stupid thing again. I seriously needed to have a conversation with it. We walked toward the center of the park. Luna? It's really dark. I know. Are you secretly murdering me? She gasped dramatically. Wren Blake, what? I planned a romantic. She suddenly stopped. I mean, a nice evening. I slowly turned toward her. Romantic. She looked horrified. I didn't, I said that. I couldn't stop smiling. Too late. We reached the fountain. Nobody was there. I looked around. So, where's the surprise? She smiled. 3. What? 2. Luna. 1. Suddenly, thousands of tiny fairy lights lit up the entire park. Happy birthday! I gasped. Zoe jumped out from behind a tree. Linda appeared carrying balloons. Scarlett and Reed walked out laughing. A dozen of our college friends started clapping. There was music, a huge picnic blanket, a birthday cake, photos hanging from strings between the trees. I covered my mouth. No way. Luna looked at me nervously. You like it? I turned toward her. You did all this? She shrugged shyly. Maybe. Before I even realized what I was doing, I threw my arms around her. This is amazing. She hugged me back. I wanted today to be special. It already is. The party lasted for hours. Zoe somehow convinced everyone to play charades. Reed cheated shamelessly. Scarlett kept pretending not to notice. Linda accidentally dropped half the cake, then blamed the table. It was perfect. Not because everything went right, because everyone was laughing. As the night grew quieter, Luna walked over carrying a small rectangular box wrapped in pale pink paper. I have one more gift. I smiled. You already organized all this. I know, but this one's different. I slowly unwrapped it. Inside was a scrapbook. My fingers trembled as I opened the first page. Our first coffee shop picture, the caption underneath read, "The day my life quietly changed." The next page, a tiny plastic fork taped inside. I burst into laughter. You kept this? You said it might save my life one day. The next page, a dried flower from the park. Then a photo of us covered in melted ice cream. Then the karaoke receipt. Then the photo booth strip. Then a press movie ticket, a tiny paper napkin from Bean and Bloom. Even a scribbled copy of the first page of my ridiculous PowerPoint. I couldn't stop smiling or crying. By the final page, my vision was blurry. There was only one sentence, written in Luna's handwriting. Thank you for making ordinary days become my favorite memories. A tear rolled down my cheek. I looked up. She smiled nervously. I wasn't sure if you'd like it. I laughed through my tears. Like it? I hugged the scrapbook against my chest. It's the best gift anyone's ever given me. She smiled, then quietly whispered, Come with me. I looked at her. Where? She reached out her hand. Just trust me. I placed my hand in hers. Without another word, the two of us walked away from the party, toward the lights of the old carnival, and the Ferris wheel waiting quietly beneath the stars. The Ferris wheel had always looked beautiful from a distance. I just never imagined I'd be riding it on my birthday, with the girl who had somehow become the most important person in my life. Luna and I climbed into the little carriage together. The door clicked shut behind us. Slowly, the wheel began to move. Neither of us spoke. Below us, the carnival lights sparkled like tiny stars. The laughter from the party became quieter and quieter until all I could hear was the soft hum of the Ferris wheel and my own heartbeat. Luna cleared her throat. I'm nervous. I laughed softly. She nodded. I've seen you stand in front of hundreds of people at charity events. I'd rather do that again. Really? She smiled nervously. This is much scarier. I tilted my head. Why? She looked down at her hands. Because I don't know how this conversation ends. The Ferris wheel continued climbing. The higher we went, the quieter the world became. Finally, we reached the very top. The wheel paused. The entire city stretched beneath us. It felt like time itself had stopped. Luna let out a shaky breath. I've written this speech. I've written this 7 times. Seriously? She nodded. I even asked Scarlett for advice. That made me laugh. What did she say? She said. Luna smiled. Stop trying to sound perfect. Just tell her the truth. I smiled. That's actually good advice. I know. So, she looked into my eyes. I'm going to tell you the truth. I spent months thinking I was in love with Scarlett. I wasn't lying. I really did love her. I nodded. I know. But after everything happened, I started asking myself one question. She laughed quietly. Do you know what it was? I shook my head. Why? She whispered. Did my happiest memories never include the person I thought I loved? My heart stopped. I kept looking through the scrapbook, the gala, the PowerPoint, the plastic fork, the ice cream fight, the karaoke, the beach, the ginger tea, the photo booth. She smiled through tears. And then I realized something. Every single one of my favorite memories had you in them. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even think. She laughed softly. You know what finally convinced me? What? I tried imagining my future. I imagined graduating. I imagined getting my dream job. I imagined traveling the world. I imagined buying my first house. She looked at me, and every single time, you were standing beside me. The tears I'd been holding back finally escaped. Luna reached over, gently wiping one away with her thumb. I don't need someone perfect. I don't need someone rich. I don't need someone who buys me yachts. She smiled. I just need the girl who buys emergency plastic forks because she's genuinely worried I'll panic over cutlery. I laughed through my tears. You are never letting that go. Never. She took both of my hands. Wren Blake, I've spent months chasing the wrong person. When the person I'd been looking for was quietly walking beside me the whole time. She squeezed my hands. So, her voice shook. Will you stop pretending and be my real girlfriend? I stared at her, then suddenly started laughing. Not because anything was funny, because I couldn't believe this was actually happening. She frowned. Did I mess up? I shook my head. No. Then why are you laughing? I wiped away another tear. Because I spent months trying not to fall in love with you. What? I kept telling myself. She has a girlfriend. You're just friends. Calm down, Wren. Luna smiled. You were talking to yourself? Constantly. She laughed. I knew it. I was losing arguments with myself every day. I looked at her, really looked at her, then smiled. You know what's funny? What? I spent my whole life pretending to be someone else's girlfriend. But I slowly intertwined our fingers. I've never wanted anything to be real this badly. So, she whispered. Is that a yes? I smiled. My answer, I leaned closer, has always been yes. Luna cupped my face with both hands. So, she smiled. Can I kiss my girlfriend now? I laughed. I was wondering how long you'd make me wait. She closed the tiny distance between us. Our lips met softly, warm, gentle, like we'd both been waiting forever. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't dramatic. It was home. Her mouth was warm, soft, and tasting faintly of sweet coffee, her hands frantically tangling into my hair to pull me closer as we consumed 20 months of suppressed longing right there. When we finally pulled apart, we both started laughing. I can't believe we're actually doing this. I know. You know, she whispered. I've wanted to kiss you since the karaoke. I gasped dramatically. What? I almost did. My forehead kiss wasn't enough. She covered her face. I panicked. I knew it. You knew. I didn't, but I do now. We laughed again. Then she leaned forward and kissed me once more, longer this time, the kind of kiss that made every heartbreak, every misunderstanding, every fake smile worth it. Suddenly, the Ferris wheel started moving again. Uh-oh. Luna looked over the edge. People are definitely waiting. I smiled. They've probably been waiting for 10 minutes. She laughed. Should we make them suffer a little longer? I like the way you think. She stole one more quick kiss. For luck. The carriage reached the bottom. The door opened the moment we stepped out. A loud scream echoed across the carnival. I knew it! Zoe. Of course it was Zoe. She was jumping up and down like she just won the lottery. I told everyone. Scarlett laughed so hard she had tears in her eyes. Reed wrapped an arm around her shoulders. I owe Zoe $50. You bet on us? I asked. Scarlett grinned. Months ago. Linda folded her arms proudly. I've been waiting forever. I looked around in complete disbelief. You all knew? Everyone answered at the same time. Yes. I covered my face. Oh my gosh. Luna leaned close to my ear. They were just waiting for us to catch up. I think we were the last two people on Earth to figure it out. She smiled. Worth the wait? I looked at her. The girl who had turned ordinary days into my favorite memories. The girl who laughed with her whole heart. The girl who unknowingly became my home. I smiled. Worth every second. She reached for my hand. This time, neither of us had to pretend. As we walked back toward the birthday party, I looked up at the night sky and couldn't help smiling. People always asked me, if your fake girlfriend business disappeared tomorrow, would you regret starting it? I used to think the answer was yes. Now, I knew better, because that silly little idea led me to the greatest love story of my life. Not because it helped strangers pretend to be in love, but because it accidentally introduced me to the girl I was always meant to love. I squeezed Luna's hand. She squeezed mine back, then looked at me and smiled. My girl. This time, neither of us corrected it, because this time, it was true.